losers, which particular pack of degenerate losers are harassing me this time? I don't want to hear bull fucking shit from somewhere in the distance. Loser breath. BIOYFA, that's the phrase they love to say. When I hear it, makes me glad every day. Go on, boys. Rousing chorus of BIOYFA. Blow it out your fucking ass. All together now. 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Bit late coming in there, but bit of practice, you'll be alright. You'll do just well. Down in remand. Well, I presume that no one lasts for very long who's part of the group who ends up in remand, which is the, what would you say, pre-jail or something like that. Correction centre for the homicidally deranged schizophrenic pedophiles out there who, well, yeah, she wouldn't last too long. Sad to say. But a quick end is a good end, don't you think? BIOYFA. But you're distracting me, losers. I have bigger fish to fry. Well, since I moved to the charming town of Donald, Victoria, Australia, I've had nothing but abuse, persecution, being poisoned, being drugged, raped, assaulted, robbed, blah, blah, blah. So now it comes to my attention, lowly though it may be, that there is a little bit of a sinister plot hatching to my mind's eye. I wondered what the reason was as to the disappearance of all the insect life from my garden. And now that I look at it, every house that I've ever lived in, every property, has eventually, over time, lost its biodiversity. All the insects disappeared. All the frogs disappeared. Is that because when I plant my vegetable crops, or vegetables, that there will be no pollinators, which are bees and insects, to pollinate my vegetables? Because I love to see the bees buzzing around doing their thing on my flowering plants, as nature intended. Thus, of course, diminishing my food supply, making me dependent on the state, so that I would become a slave. And have to go to the supermarket to buy their genetically modified food. Which of course would be provided to cure the world's ills of its diminishing food supply. So it must be good stuff, this GMO food, because I used to eat GMO corn chips. Made me sick. felt bloated, and didn't really feel good at all after the meal. This is from enveeurope.springeropen.com. I won't read all of the stuff, but I'll just read the conclusion. Serious adverse effects, that means it's really bad for you, of GM consumption, genetically modified consumption, include mortality, that's death, tumour or cancer. So you can pick. You can have a tumour or you can have cancer. It's up to you. You've always got choices, they say. Significant low fertility, not overall low fertility, but significant. Decreased learning. Well, who needs to learn stuff? We'll just get a fucking computer chip implanted in our brain. Then we won't need to learn, will we, Elon? Decreased learning and reaction abilities. Gee, you wouldn't be able to catch the ball, catch a football, catch the footy, catch the cricket ball, catch the soccer ball. Hit the ball when the pitcher deals the batter a death blow in the final round, in the final innings. It's 3 down in the final. Reaction abilities and some organ abnormalities. So that could be anything. I'm looking forward to an abnormal organ. Wonder if it'll be like Lionel's bulbous penis. Further clinical trials and long-term cohort studies in human populations, especially on GM food-related adverse events and the corresponding GM events, are still warranted. So it's sounding good already. Here's another perhaps salient article from pubmed.ncbi.lm.nlm.nih.gov. Abstract. As genetically modified GM foods are starting to intrude in our diet, concerns have been expressed regarding GM food safety. These concerns, as well as the limitations of the procedures followed in the evaluation of their safety, are presented. Animal toxicity studies with certain GM foods have shown that they may toxically affect several organs and systems. The review of these studies should not be conducted separately for each GM food, but according to the effects exerted on certain organs. It may help us create a better picture of the possible health effects on human beings. The results of most studies with GM foods, genetically modified foods, indicate that they may cause some common toxic effects such as hepatic, pancreatic, renal or reproductive effects, and may alter the hematological, biochemical and immunologic parameters. Gee, won't even be able to have a baby, girls. You'll have to get it from the test tube. And it'll all be artificial. Because what really happens is that the little male sperm from dad is picked by nature. Nature says, you're good to go. There's a nice female egg, quite suitable for you. In fact, it's your perfect partner. Bang, the sperm and the egg match up, and there's the baby. Nice, healthy, vibrant, full of life, blah, blah, blah. Because nature knows what to do, not a fucking idiot in a white lab coat with a test tube. Who the fuck do you think you losers are? This is from AI. Dangers to the environment from GMO foods and cropping techniques include the development of superweeds through gene flow, herbicide-resistant pests, biodiversity loss due to harm to non-target organisms, and reduced crop diversity and potential impacts on soil and water from increased herbicide use. Specifically, crops engineered for herbicide or pesticide resistance can lead to the evolution of resistant pests and weeds, while the associated cropping practices may reduce crop rotation and harm beneficial insects like the monarch butterfly. Fucking butterflies, get rid of them, I don't like them. Potential environmental dangers, superweeds and resistant pests. Herbicide-resistant crops can lead to the development of superweeds that are difficult to control. I bet they are. Pest-resistant GMOs, such as those using Bt toxins, can cause pests to evolve resistance, similar to how weeds evolve resistance to herbicides. Biodiversity loss, gene flow from GMOs can hybridize with wild relatives, potentially affecting the genetic diversity of wild plant species. Harm to non-target organisms is a concern, particularly for crops engineered with pesticides, which can impact beneficial insects like pollinators, which are bees and that sort of thing. For example, the widespread use of herbicides with herbicide-tolerant crops has been linked to the decline of monarch butterfly habitats. Why do they hate monarch butterflies so much? Reduced crop rotation encouraged by effective pest and weed control in GM crops can lead to lower crop diversity in agricultural landscapes. And this one is from iatp.org, Why Eating GM Food Could Lower Your Fertility, by Sean Poulter. Genetically modified corn has been linked to a threat to fertility in an official study that could deliver a hammer blow, I like that, a hammer blow to controversial Frankenstein food. And you remember Frankenstein, wasn't he a charmer? He was the bloke that you wanted to marry your daughter. Frankenstein. A long-term feeding trial commissioned by the Austrian government found mice fed on GM corn or maize had fewer offspring, which is fewer children, and lower birth rates. The trial has triggered a call from Greenpeace for a recall of all GM food crops currently on the market worldwide on the grounds of the threat to human health. Most of the research on GM crop safety has been conducted by biotech companies such as Monsanto, rather than outside independent laboratories. Gee, don't they make the pesticides? GM expert at Greenpeace International, Dr. Jan van Aken, said genetically engineered food appears to be acting as a birth control agent, potentially leading to infertility. If this is not reason enough to close down the whole biotech industry once and for all, I am not sure what kind of disaster we are waiting for. That's sounding really good so far, isn't it? GMO pedos. Is that who's behind the push? The little cabal? Let's cut down all the trees, then we can sell you fuckwits oxygen. and you'll be drinking our bottled water and eating our genetically modified food. You won't be able to have babies. You'll have to go to a laboratory. Oh, this is our fuck meat section for the pedos, the elite pedos, who incidentally get delivered boxes of organic grain-fed beef, organic vegetables, organically grown. Someone saying outside somewhere, biodynamically grown, which is even better. And that everything in Donald was supposed to be degraded because I lived here, so as to make everybody in town miserable so that they would all drive me out, causing me to be homeless, penniless, destitute, and more open and vulnerable to attack from pedos. Horrible little pedos. Isn't that right, Bill? How about we turn all of Africa into a GMO hell? What do you reckon about that, Bill? You fuckwit. Talking to you, Gates. Loser.